You are listening to Productivity Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after productivity coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives entrepreneurs the straight talk on personal productivity. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the Productivity Specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to Productivity Straight Talk. Today is episode 83, Giving In to Giving Up Control, a coaching session with Janelle Blakely. If you are an entrepreneur who wants actionable solutions to maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. You are in for a treat today because you get to meet my guest, Janelle Blakely. Janelle is the owner and principal designer of Blakely Interior Design, a residential interior design firm based out of North Kingstown, Rhode Island. Since its inception in 2012, Janelle has quickly grown her business and has established a reputation for creating beautiful, livable interiors. With a bright, aesthetic, and creative approach, Janelle believes in pushing clients just past their comfort zone to create unique and inviting spaces. Earlier this year, she established the Rhode Island chapter of Savvy Giving by Design, a nonprofit whose mission is to provide comfort, support, and healing to families with a child facing a medical crisis by transforming the interior space of their home at no cost to them. In addition to exponential growth in her design business, she was recently nominated for Rhode Island's 2018 Small Businesswoman of the Year. Janelle lives in Rhode Island with her husband and 3 children. When listening in on my coaching session with Janelle, you will discover ways to leverage your support systems, how the gold is in what's already working, the importance of processes in home management, the solution to be in all things to all people, triggers to get out of your head so you don't have to scramble, and so much more. So let's dive right in and meet Janelle. This episode of Productivity Straight Talk is brought to you by my very own signature coaching and training program, Stop, the Entrepreneur's Success Solution. If you are ready to stop struggling in your business and start succeeding, head on over to theproductivityspecialist.com/stop to find out more. Again, that's theproductivityspecialist.com/stop, STOP. Hello, Janelle. Welcome to Productivity Straight Talk. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Amber. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh my gosh, I was so delighted when I saw your application come through for on-air coaching. You and I actually just got to see each other in person at a conference in California. So this is really exciting to be able to do the next step, which is coach together on air.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So before we jump into our coaching session, I know my listeners always want to know a little bit of background about whom I'm coaching. So in your own words, can you let our listeners know, who is Janelle? Tell us about your business and all the things that you're juggling and just lay it out for us.
Absolutely. So I own a high-end residential interior design firm in Rhode Island, and we have been in business about 8 years, just about 8 years. And my team is really growing a lot. It is now, I just hired my 6th employee. So I have a team of designers, a business manager, and it's awesome. I love what I do, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of stress, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I really love it.
Yeah, you're so amazing. I see your work online and I'm just drooling. So you do amazing work. Okay,
Thank you.
You have grown your team. You've been in business for 6 years. How long were you in business before you hired your first person?
My very first person, I want to say it was within 2 years.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So between 2 years and 6 years, you've built definitely a big team around you. What kind of support do you have at home or in your personal life? Because we are going to be jumping into some of that.
Yeah. So at home, I have a wonderful husband who works full time. He does work from home. And I have 3 children, and they are ages 8, 10, and almost 13. So I get a mix, and they keep me very busy.
Yeah.
And I'm also blessed to have some help at home as well. I have a nanny that comes every day after school and gets them off the bus, and she's there for a few hours every day, and that's Jackie, and she's a godsend.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So talk to me about what is the particular challenge that you would like to cover in today's session?
So I love my business and I'm very committed to my business, but I'm also very committed to my family. And I struggle with trying to do all the things for all of the people, right?
Yes.
I'm always busy at work and I love what I do. And I'm sort of kind of I almost said alcoholic. Isn't that funny? A workaholic.
Workaholic.
I might be one of those too. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. But I tend to be a workaholic. Like I love what I do. And what's happening is it's affecting my personal life and my home life in a way that the stuff gets done, but it ends up meaning very late nights for me. And I end up being a little bit more just exhausted than I really need to be. So I need to get a handle on what are some ways that I can be more efficient with all the things that happen in my home life. For example, scheduling my son to get his braces on and scheduling doctor's appointments or picking up medication or buying the birthday present or those sorts of things that just every mom really, whether they're a business owner or not, but it's a little bit more challenging when you're a business owner because you're trying to run your business, you're trying to meet deadlines, meet with clients, and then you're trying to fit in all this other stuff. My boys are on travel hockey team, so we're at the hockey arena between my husband and I probably 6 times a week. So it doesn't leave a lot of like evenings to just go and run to Target to get the staples, that sort of thing. So that's really my struggle. And I have been trying to reach out, and Jackie has been wonderful. She will pick up things when I need them to. I can text her. We use Voxer, which is great.
Yes.
She's at the store. She'll Voxer me. But the problem is that I think it boils down to a lot of planning too. I don't have the mind to think like, oh, at this very instant, what do I need? Do I need toothpaste? Like, what do I need? Because I'm in the middle of a meeting or I'm in the middle of something where my mind's just not thinking about that. And so I'm so thankful to have that support if I need it, but I feel like I'm not utilizing it as well as I could be because I don't have my act together in that regard.
Yeah. You know, when I'm hearing you, I'm just imagining everyone that's listening, shaking their head like, yes, I get it. Like it's very common. You know, I think it takes different parts of our brains to be able to be in our business and think in our business and then shift and think about what's for dinner and if we have toothpaste, right? It's like totally different energy and it can be exhausting to shift from one to the other to the other. All right. So let's see if we can find some solutions. I heard you say words like you feel like you're not utilizing your resources to its full extent because it requires probably some more planning, right? Yep. And so would you consider yourself a planner?
I am, maybe I should say a wannabe. I am a planner, but I like routine. I crave it, but I'm not very good at following through with it. That's part of the problem. I am a very high quick start on the Colby. Yeah. And so I love new ideas. I'm like, oh, that's great. Like I jump in and I'm all for it. And then I'm like, oh, wait, that lasted 2.2 seconds. Like I have to find something that works for the way that my brain works. And I'm not really sure what that is. And that's what I'm hoping that you can help me with today.
Yes. Okay. So you said that you crave routines, but you haven't really stuck with them. And you're a wannabe planner. So I'm just repeating this because I almost feel like you are a planner, but maybe not in all aspects of your life, because to do what you do, it requires extreme planning to plan for your clients, right? Like all the details.
Yeah.
And so maybe you don't really enjoy planning toothpaste and dinners and buying shoes and the things, right? So now I think what's common is like we kind of gravitate to what we're passionate about and what we truly enjoy. Is that a true statement that you are a planner in parts of your life, but not other parts? I
would agree with that. And I think if you were to ask me if I was a planner 10 years ago, I would have been like, oh yeah, I plan awesome parties and I'd love to plan. And when we go on vacation, I want to know what's our general agenda, try to figure out places to go so that the family has food nearby, like that type of planning. But as I have progressed with age and in my business, I've become less of a planner with regard to my personal life. Now it's a little less I shouldn't say over the top because I've never been one of those over the top like party planners, but like my son's first birthday, I think everyone who has a child, their first birthday party, it's like this big to do. Like my 8-year-old didn't even have a birthday party this year. And he's like, Mom, I'm like, I know, we're going to get to it. So it was bedtime. He had a hockey game the night and we're like, oh, we'll do a sleepover. So it's that type of thing where I have shifted a little bit the mindset. I think within me, I am a planner. And you're right, with regard to the work that I do, it requires a lot of planning and project management, but I crave that type of planning for a home life, but I think that I would rather do it for my business. And maybe I gravitate toward that because it's more enjoyable, perhaps.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you had said you need a way to find that works best for you, that works for your brain. So let's dive into what's currently working for you. This is me kind of pulling back the curtains, but this is actually one of my go-tos. Is that I think that a lot of coaches want to focus on what's not working, but the gold is in what's working. And then you try to replicate it in other areas of your life because it's already going to tell me what's working for you and how your brain works. And there's less resistance to executing that again in other areas of your life. So let's talk about your business just for a little bit about like what's working with planning. What works for you and your brain when it comes to planning stuff for your business?
I use a Sauna.
Okay.
And I have a great team that typically does all of the follow through items that I don't need to do. So we typically take all of our action items associated with, whether it's a client meeting and we have tasks that we need to go do with regard to a project. So let's say it's updating some drawings in CAD and then forwarding those to the client for review. We'll use Asana to get those tasks done. So organizing it in that way is usually very helpful. I have tried to do that with my personal. I actually have the personal tab on Asana, and that's mildly helpful. But again, I think I need to make it more routine to go into it. So I kind of go into it periodically, if you will. And so it's not as robust with information. I think that what's working for me in my business is that I have one place that I put all of my information. I have like one little notebook, and I don't necessarily do that with my home life because I don't know why, honestly. I think I've tried it and then I'm like, oh, wait, where's the notebook? No, it's in this bag, not that bag,
Yeah.
And I always have my work notebook in my work bag, but then home changes. Sometimes you have a different bag. Like it's just a little bit more difficult to keep up with. I know that doesn't sound like it's very difficult, but for whatever reason, my brain is always like, where did I put that information? So does that answer your question, Amber?
Absolutely. I'm going to ask some more questions, but it does. What triggers you to get into a sauna for business? So let's just say you start your day. Are you purposely getting into a sauna, or is it as a result of a client meeting? Is your team saying, hey, we need you to download your brain into a sauna? What makes that a repetitive in your business?
So I try to start my day by going into a sauna and looking at the tasks that are due for the day. Typically, I've trained my team to really enter most of the stuff into a sauna. So if we're in a client meeting, for example, they're hearing what needs to get done. So I'm really there to build those client relationships and to oversee the design, but they're managing the projects for the most part. So they come out of those meetings and they enter the information into Asana in terms of tasks that are either associated with something I need to do or they need to do. So I go into Asana each morning, or I attempt to. I'm not always successful at it because sometimes I get pulled into meetings before I actually have a chance to do that. But the goal is to go in every morning and review what's kind of pressing, and then to shift those dates if I don't think I'm going to be able to get to those for the day.
Okay. So your team is pulling out all the details and the actionables, and then you're using Asana like your boss, where you're like, it's telling me what to do. And a good day is that you work the plan, right?
A good day. Yeah. There are instances where there's some projects that I run solo based on our capacity of projects and that sort of thing, that I will be putting information into Asana as well. Just like they would on a project that they're running, I would be inputting that information. So I would put a task in and assign it to myself and try to keep all the ducks in a row in that regard as well.
Okay. Do you have reoccurring checklists? So like if I came to you and I wanted to do a bathroom, are you guys starting with a basis of a checklist and then it's being customized per the client?
We have processes, and we have a bazillion different checklists for a variety of different projects that we would be undertaking. Each project is very custom, but we know the process in which we need to. So in terms of the design process, and I guess you could call it a checklist, things happen in a very specific order, and we require certain information before we can get to the next phase and that sort of thing.
Would you say that you have processes in home management?
I have some, probably not as many as I should. For example, one of the things that I feel very consistent with, I shouldn't say very, I feel mostly consistent with is meal planning.
Okay.
I do not like to not know what's for dinner. It stresses me out because the first thing my kids say when I walk in the door is, "Mom, what's for dinner?" I know everyone else is out there going, "Yeah, that's me too."
Yeah.
So I like to, and I don't like to have to scramble. So I do all of my meal planning typically on a Sunday, and I put it into an app called Plan to Eat, which is actually going on sale for Black Friday.
That's great.
At any rate, it's a tool for me that I can electronically put all of my recipes in and then plan out my meals, and then it puts the shopping list together. So that's a tool that I'm using that's a time saver, but it also keeps my brain organized so that I can go, okay, I know that we're having a certain meal on a certain evening, and so it's already planned out. Where I sometimes get into trouble, and I know I'm getting a little granular here. So
this is perfect. This is giving me intel because again, we're looking at what's working, and my head's spinning on like how can we replicate that in places that feel broken to you. So keep going, girl.
Okay. So one of the areas where I sometimes fall short is in I know what we're eating every night. I know I have food in the refrigerator because I've either gone shopping or I've asked Jackie to pick up a few things in relation to that meal. But sometimes, especially if I do a large grocery shop on the weekend, and we're not eating something until Wednesday night, there's some prep that needs to take place, right? Or there's something that needs to be taken out of the freezer or whatever that may be. Or in many cases, I went to go get, fresh thyme and they didn't have it because they ran out, and I have to remember to make a note to do it that day before dinner. So there's a lot of little loose ends sometimes that I forget about. And then I went, oh my gosh, I forgot to get the thyme. I can't make dinner. Or, oh, I forgot to take it out of the freezer. Okay, now we're having eggs and toast for dinner.
Got it.
And then I got to scramble kind of last minute, which isn't always the case, but those are the things that
are creating stress, right?
Yes.
And probably wasteful of time. So stressed, wasteful of time, and it's not really coming through as what you planned, like life by design. You're eating with your family. It's stress-free. It's an enjoyable thing, all because the time's missing or the food didn't come out of the freezer, right? The chicken's still frozen. Okay. I totally get that. So it sounds like you do have processes. We're really going to be addressing the things that, because you're a family of 3 and you're limited on time, it sounds like there's so many unexpecteds in your personal life that compounded, that's creating a lot of stress. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So with regards to can you give me any other insights into what home management processes that you have? For example, do you go grocery shopping the same day of the week? Do you do your mass like Sam's Club, Costco runs? Do you have a checklist of things that you have staples in the home? Anything like that?
No.
Okay. So go ahead.
Sorry. No, I don't. I mean, what I just explained to you is most of kind of the processes. What I've been trying to do is to do a weekend. I just started this. Again, I'm a quick start. I think of these ideas and then I'm not always the best at continuing with them. And maybe it's because I overcomplicate them. I tend to be an overcomplicator just by nature. I'm a very detailed person. So I get into the details, and then I think sometimes I create something that's so detailed that I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this.
Right.
But I did create something that was a planner for the weekend as well as the week from a personal perspective. And this goes beyond the like, what birthday parties do I have to take my kids to from a scheduling perspective, and more about the what needs to get done. So for the weekends, if I know I need to get meal planning done, I'm going to put that in and say, okay, I need to carve time out on Sunday night to make sure I'm doing my meal plan. Or you asked a question about when we go grocery shopping. It's not always the same time. Sometimes I do it. Sometimes Jackie does it. Sometimes my husband does it. And sometimes it's Peapod delivery. So it's not the same all the time, but the intention is to make sure that we're keeping up with it. And we typically do. We always have food, right?
Yeah,
we figure it out. But I think the idea is that we're going to get into something that's a little bit more consistent, and we can set expectations, right, for that. But you asked about other processes in place. I can't think of any, to be honest with you, that we do that are really helping moving the needle forward, honestly.
Okay. What kind of meetings and how do you convey action items to your team in the office? So do you have regular staff meetings on a weekly basis, or is it project based? And like, when you're thinking of all the things that you have ideas about, are you conveying that verbally to your team or in an email? So which one? Maybe it's a third.
We do our team meetings. So we do have a weekly team meeting, and we try not to have a lot through email. We try to put most of it into a Sauna, because then it's task-based and we can assign it and follow it. So most of that. And then I also have one-on-ones with my team members twice a week. So the designers on my team, I meet with twice a week for 45 minutes each, depending on, sometimes longer if the project warrants it. And then the action items typically come out of those meetings. Mm-hmm. And the same with my business manager and I also have a one-on-one each week. And those are more updates versus action items, but sometimes there's tasks that are associated with those as well.
Okay. So the reason I was asking is because for myself, I'm super verbal. And when I was trying to convey to my team all the things in Trello, so something very similar to Asana, there was resistance and I wasn't flowing enough to them, right? And then I realized that I need a meeting with them. And I was already having meetings, but I kind of restructured the meetings, and that is the way that I convey all the things that are on my head, like I do a brain dump. And I gave them the responsibility, and sometimes it has to get recorded because my mind works really fast as well. And it's their job to extract out and then create the tasks. Your brain works really fast as well. And I was guessing that based on what you had said is that, you'll have a client meeting and it's your staff that's extracting all the details and then getting it into Asana. So what I was kind of asking about was just trying to figure out maybe that's something that can work similar. I was just in a transition as well. So I had let go of my current nanny and I hired a new nanny. And the new nanny is also going to be my part-time administrative assistant. And the way that I structured her from the very beginning is weekly meetings where I brain dump personal and professional, the things that are going on in my head, any notes that I took, like the shoes that need to be returned, like you said. And so my head is just thinking, or my mind is thinking, how can we create something similar with your personal support to get it out of your head? And it's their responsibility to fill in the details, because that's working really, really well in your business. And it allows you to keep moving. Does that sound like it could possibly work if we kind of dug deeper into a solution like that?
I think so. What was going on in my head as you were talking was I have a business manager that's been working for me for many years, and she knows me like inside and out. And she is always eager to help in any way that she can for anything, regardless if it's for my home life, for my kids, for work, for anything. She says that she gets a lot of joy out of helping me and making my life easier. And so I think that there's an opportunity to potentially leverage that because I need that, but I also know that it brings her a lot of joy. So, and she's really good at all the stuff that I'm not.
Yeah. So a great compliment to you. I could imagine in your meeting, she's asking, let's just say we keep it in a business context. She's like, okay, so where do you need to be? What else do you need to have done? How can I get you ready for a client meeting? Where she's kind of prodding you, right? For you to now give her feedback so that now you create the action plan and Janelle shows up where she needs to be super prepared. Mm-hmm. I would love to see that on a personal level, even if this is just a part of her position. And then even if she's helping say, you know what, I think this is best for Jackie, right? She could be that go-to that says, all right, well, I'm going to make sure Jackie picks up the time and the this and that. She kind of becomes this project manager. We'll have to see how that works being a third person. But for you, having to remember, did I tell Jackie to pick up the time? Did I get the shoes? What about the birthday gifts? It sounds like it's very stressful for you to even think of all the things and solely by yourself sitting and trying to write it on your really pretty planner you shared with me. And so again, I want to lean into what works. And so I think that partnering with your business manager, and now adding that to your weekly meeting where she says things like, so what's on the agenda for the kids? What needs to get done? Is there doctor's appointments? She could totally schedule braces for your kids and coordinate with Jackie to make sure that your son gets there if that's something you don't want to do. Right? So yes, like there's going to be things you don't want to outsource. So Janelle, maybe you'll be at the first braces appointment, but as we know, braces mean a lot of appointment follow-ups. And so now that can be, filtered straight to Jackie is how can Jackie be, on a regular basis taking your son to get his checkup on his braces. So I think we literally hit on this quite quickly. I don't know, but we can dive into this. So what do you see if we were using, and I apologize, I only have, what did you say your business manager's name is?
Judy.
Judy. Okay, we're going to call her Judy. So what kind of things would you like Judy to extract out of your head on a personal level that can be created into actionables? Because that little tab that you're talking about on Asana, guess what? Judy is completely trained on Asana. Like that is her go-to. That's already how Judy thinks. And I think that all we're going to have to do is get Jackie on Asana. And if she's open to it, it's never happening. Okay. So if Judy is in Asana and Janelle is in Asana and that's your personal life, then Judy can convey to Jackie anything that she needs to be via Voxer. So now you need to get them connected on Voxer. Because I feel like Judy, I haven't met her. I think she's probably amazing. I can't wait to meet her. She's used to juggling you. She's used to your personality. She's used to leaning into the best parts of you. So again, I kept talking, but the question was, what would you like Judy to ask you and get out of your head on these regular meetings on a personal level?
On a regular basis, I think there are certain things that are related to certain buckets, if you will. So there's healthcare related things, right? So right now in my brain at this very moment, I know I need to call and refill my daughter's prescription, and I have to do that over the phone because it's a medication that I can't have auto refilled. So I have to do that every month. And it's a task that can be put in as a recurring task that Judy could then put in Asana, and she could probably even call it in for me.
Yes.
So things like that, right? Healthcare related stuff. I am the manager of all of the doctor's appointments. I take the kids to all of those things. So again, making sure that those are scheduled because Judy actually has access to my calendar and does a lot of calendar management for me as well. So having her put those elements on, and typically I like to bring my kids to the doctor unless I have a major conflict I can't avoid. So she would be able to work around that. So healthcare related things I think are one bucket. The other are things as they relate to events. So for example, Thanksgiving, I'm hosting 18 people for Thanksgiving. And, it's very much in her nature to say, what do you need? Did you think of X, Y, and Z? Do you need flowers? What are the things that you need? And so even just that conversation of the things where my head is so in my business that sometimes I forget, oh yeah, I guess I would need flowers for the table. And it's so funny because as a designer, people think, oh my gosh, it must be amazing. It is the last thing I think of. I'm like, wait. Wait a second. I mean, it ends up always being beautiful, but sometimes it's a scramble at the end because I'm just not putting myself mentally in that spot. So going back to your question, I think that things that are related to events, whether it's a holiday or even birthday, Judy has been known to send me a text message and say, Carter's birthday is coming up. Do you need a gift? Or do you need me to pre-order a cake? And the problem is that I've never had, when I'm presented with those questions, part of me feels a little guilty, in all honesty. I feel like I shouldn't need someone to help me with all these things. And I should be able to just do them all on my own because that's what adults do. And the other part is that I feel like I don't know enough to give a straight answer. And so my answer is usually like, maybe, yeah, no, I'm not sure yet. Let me get back to you. And then it falls. And then I'm always going, okay, his birthday's in 2 days. I need to order a cake.
Okay. So we're going to break that. I'm not going to let you skip over that one. That was a big one that I think a lot of people probably feel. So you use the words that you think you should because this is what adults do. Right. And not just adults, but probably we could put the other hat of moms. Moms order the cakes or moms do this or that. Right. Okay. So is it of any additional value to your relationship with your son that you pick up the phone and call and order the superhero cake that you knew that he would like, but you told Judy it needs to be X, Y, and Z superhero because that's what he's into. Or it needs to be hockey. You said your kids play hockey, right? So you've conveyed the idea and the colors and you know exactly what it needs to be. And Judy makes the phone call. Do you think that that changes anything with your relationship with your son or the value or the excitement of the cake showing up at his birthday?
Not at all.
Do you think that that would change your happiness of showing up with the cake at the birthday and like your life and stress if Judy ordered the cake?
Would it change my happiness?
Yeah,
because I didn't have to deal with it. Absolutely.
Yeah, right. And even if Judy ordered it and Jackie picked it up, but your son knew that you put the special touch of like it was his favorite color, that can all verbally be given to your team and done, right? Okay, so I feel that if you could use the words of, is this going to affect my relationship or have an impact on how my kids view me loving them? Or because honestly, at the root of all this, the shoulds come from what we should do because of expectations, right? And the expectations are often stories we put in our own heads. And I'm only speaking from advice because I have gone through this journey with my son and my husband, getting really clear and asking, what are the things that make you feel loved? And sometimes I really check in with them because, okay, so we're going to just totally be raw here. When I got a nanny that does all the things and there's the grocery shopping and the cooking, she does the cooking. I don't even do cooking anymore. I know that there's some of my friends that are not business owners that don't understand this life that are like, and what do you do for your husband? Right? Like, because I have a house cleaner, you know, and they don't get it. I don't expect them to get it. But I took the shoulds off and I asked my husband, what makes you feel loved? And what is it that you really want me to hold on to? And at the end of the day, it was very few things. And guess what? I get to show up 100% in those ways because I'm not stressed out about what gets on the kitchen table for dinner. I'm not stressed out if the right apples get picked at the grocery store. And those things did not allow me to like really show up in the ways that they needed to feel loved. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love that.
And I also did it for my son because so I don't know if you've ever read the book, The 5 Love Languages.
I have.
It was amazing, right? And so I kind of lean back on that. And even with my son, so my son's love language is different than my husband's. My son's quality time. And, you know, for someone that's always looking at how they're spending their time, that shows up. But I don't try to give him gifts and make this and that and like all these other things. Like that's how he's loved. Well, as soon as I was clear on that, wow, the stress comes off of all the things we should be doing. Right? Like, and the guilt and the mom guilt. I can only share that as with my own experiences on how much this helped me with my time management. Because when I was trying to be all the things for all the people and love them all the ways, that was exhausting.
Yeah.
And you have 3 kids. And your 3 kids are probably all have different love languages. So one son's going to care that you get him a cake and the other kid does not want a cake. He wants a gift or, you know, whatever that looks like. So my advice to you is to figure out the things that make the ones that you love feel loved and delegate out everything else. Because you're like a powerhouse. So, okay, so we kind of went in an unexpected area, but when you said the word should, I totally resonate with that. And as you know, it's going to keep coming up and different things come up. But as you do that, I would question it as, is it true? And is it a story? And confirm it with other people.
Yeah, that's a tough mindset shift, I think, just to get over. Because I think I've always been so independent and to do things on my own and didn't really need a lot of help. And now I've reached out and, you know, I told you I have Jackie, whereas before I was like, it was juggling. I was like barely holding it together after school. And I was like, there's no way I can do this. And went through a few kind of college after school sitters that came, you know, and they just didn't, they were never moms. They just didn't get it. And finally I found Jackie, who her kids are in their 20s. So she gets it.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to have that support, but it took a while for me to not feel guilty to have somebody else washing the laundry.
Right.
You know, it's because especially, and, you know, kind of going back to my husband's family and the way he grew up, he has a wonderful family. His mom was a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
And I was really fearful of being judged by her of like, oh, your wife can't even do your kids' own laundry. And I know that that's probably not what she's thinking, but I think that we go these places in our own minds.
Yes.
That, you probably make up half the time that aren't really true, but you're like, okay, wait, I want to be able to do everything. And the reality is that we just can't. So I'm getting closer to that, of being okay with that. But there's so many things that, even having Jackie help me with some errands and picking up some groceries on occasion and helping around the house where I need it, which is such a blessing. There's still so many things that I feel like I'm letting fall through the cracks.
Right.
And I think that your recommendation to utilizing the tools that I have access to in a way that's working, and bring those people joy, kind of going back to our conversation about Judy and how she sees her job in my company as whatever I need, she needs to do to save me time. And
what a blessing that is to have somebody like that.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So if I really kind of pick that apart, the time that I'm not on the phone calling in my daughter's medication to some technician who doesn't know who I am, I could be writing a proposal for another project that we could win to build our business.
Yeah.
So I have to think of it in that way. And I love that. That's definitely a mind shift that I need to make.
That's great. So I'm just going to share one of my ahas that I had is that when I hired my nanny for after school as well, at first I had envisioned like I was going to hire a nanny that would play with my son. And then I realized all the things that had to get done. And I'm like, no wonder why I never had time to play with my kids, because it was all the things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had actually made a commitment to my son that one day a week, the nanny wasn't there to let me work late. I was taking one day a week after school that we would go do something, a walk, a hike, a movie. It didn't matter, paid, not paid. Again, his love language is quality time. And so I utilized that time to actually make the time that I really wanted. It wasn't just in my business. I actually wanted more time with my son. So you looking at this, not just that you could be writing another proposal, because that's what you should be absolutely looking at, but, fully utilizing who you have at your disposal may let you connect to the people, because my son doesn't care if I do his laundry or if I cook his dinner, but he is really upset if I'm not on the floor playing Legos with him. So that's, again, just like finding out where and which, when we have time, it's about the quality, not the quantity. And it's not quality to have to call in the prescription. Like your daughter doesn't care. So this is going to be some big ahas. So with regards to Judy, the second part to that, and just to kind of tie this up, was that she'll ask you, so do you need a cake? And you're not sure how to answer it, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sure she's asking you a lot of questions in your business that you don't know the answers to too. So you probably have a process. You're like, you know what? Let me give that some thought on that design, or some thought on how we're going to handle that situation. So now just give her the permission to check back up with you. So close the loop and say, you know what? I don't know what kind of cake he wants. And you're thinking in your head, when I put him to bed, I'm going to ask him what kind of cake he wants. So say, you know what? Can you ask me again tomorrow? Can you ask me again in 2 days? So don't say just, I don't know. Give her permission to follow back up, because as detailed as she is, she will. And now you just need to get the, follow through with the answer.
I love that. I do have a question though.
Yes.
My potential concern is if I have her tackle these things that are going to help me in a great way personally, how do I manage that with her workload for the business?
Yeah.
In terms of prioritizing, because it's not like she just has a couple extra hours every day. Not that I don't think it takes a couple hours every day, but any recommendations on how to position this to her to say, hey, this is how I think that, you've always shown an interest in helping me in many ways personally. And even this morning, I was talking to one of our team members about how I had a pair of shoes that I needed to return. I bought my husband a pair of shoes for a gift, and he wasn't crazy about them. And I said, all right, well, I'll just return them. You can pick something else out. So I had the return box, and it sat there and it sat there and it sat there. And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to see if Jackie can put these in a box and return them for me. Like, it's, again, one of those little things that lingers.
Yeah.
And she put them in the box, and the FedEx location was far. I'm like, you know what? Let me take it to work. I have FedEx picks up and drops off every day. And of course, they didn't the day that they came, that I brought it into work. But Judy says, oh, you should have given that to me. I could have gotten that done for you. She's like, a lot of this stuff doesn't take a lot of time. It just takes effort. And she's like, and those are the things that really make me feel good, because I can check it off the list.
Yeah.
So she's already offered to really kind of dive in that way. But my concern is how that takes her away from the other things I'm asking her to do that have a financial impact on the business.
Right. Well, it sounds like Judy's really good at managing her time. And it sounds like you probably have good communication. So if you do hand this over to her, or when you hand this over to her, I would have the open communication to say, I don't want this to stress you out and tax you, right? Like, so can you let me know when you feel like it's becoming too much? And literally put it in her ballpark, because as business owners, we actually commonly put a governor on the people around us, meaning we want everyone else to be happy and not have way, way too much work. So we pile it on ourselves and we drip it out to them, trying to manage it. And I don't want you to do that to her, because she seems absolutely capable and she's asking, but give her permission to say, let me know when you feel like maybe we're in a really busy season and there's multiple projects. Say, would you let me know that I need to pull back a little bit on the personal just to make sure business stuff's getting taken care of? I think it's going to be something you're going to have to figure out as you go. But in my mind, as we're working this out, I feel like it's going to be an addition to your weekly meeting, and it's going to be her logistically pulling things out and planning. But I don't see that she's going to be doing so many things, right? Like, these aren't going to be things that are showing up on her calendar, taking an hour and a half. I feel like it's her zone of genius. So when you're thinking how long this is taking you to do it, it's not your zone of genius. You're multiplying the time in your head. For her, it's her zone. And she's like, I blinked my eye and it was done. And she got joy from it. So I definitely just keep the lines of communication open and just let her know that if she is ever feeling stressed by the load of both, to let you know.
Love it.
Okay, awesome. All right. I think that we nailed today's session, and I can't wait to hear a follow-up on how your meetings go with Judy for sure. What were some key actionables that you are committed to taking action on moving forward after our session?
So I definitely am going to have a sit down and have a conversation with Judy to let her know where I'm struggling, some of my pain points that I've discussed with you. And she has actually a friendship with Jackie. She knows her well. Jackie actually cleans our office here in our design studio, so she's in here weekly anyway. And
oh my gosh, how are you holding that back? They're going to meet weekly too. So you need to make sure your meeting with Judy is first, and then she can download to Jackie. This is amazing.
Yeah. Well, she comes on the weekend when we're not here, but they definitely have a way to communicate. So I'm going to have a conversation, I think, with both of them, but first Judy.
Mm-hmm.
See how receptive she is. I anticipate she'll be very receptive to taking on some of these, I don't want to say responsibilities, but sort of responsibilities, right? Mm-hmm. To say, hey, here's where I need your help. As a side note, not to get off track, but I just thought of this, is that I think that she will see the value in what I'm able to bring to the table at work when I'm not bogged down by thinking of all these things.
Yes, 1,000%.
Mm-hmm. And I think that that's when I'm in my zone of genius, when I'm not having to think about, oh my gosh, it's been 2 weeks. I still haven't called the orthodontist back. And I'm like, to schedule his appointment. I keep saying that because it's at a note right in front of me. So at any rate, that's my first plan of action, is to sit down and have that conversation with her and get a sense, maybe do a brain dump. I think maybe give her access to my Asana, my personal Asana, and that she can go in and enter things into that with tasks that are only things that I need to do, but help me stay on top of that, because she does also manage some of my Asana, the business Asana, in terms of prioritizing and pulling things out. And, she keeps a hot list for me. So because I'm pulled in so many directions, and I could be pulled into meetings and phone calls and things that sometimes get me off of my game, and things that I need to get done in the business every day, that my whiteboard has a hot list that she'll kind of update. So she can do the same type of thing for my personal life, which would be really helpful. Yeah. So once I have that and I do a brain dump of, okay, what are all these personal things that I need to do, then she can kind of help me manage those to some degree, right?
Yes.
And stay on top of them, even if there's some of the things that I personally need to do, so that they just don't fall off the radar. And, this sounds terrible, and I hate to say this, especially on air, because I think that we can hopefully some people can relate to this, but I used to be that person that was like, how could someone never RSVP to a party? That is so rude. Like, that is just the rudest thing, to never RSVP. And I still feel that way, by the way. However, I have known on 2 separate occasions where I have not only not RSVP'd for a kid's birthday party, but I actually missed it. And it was one of those things where I think I can make it, but I got to check the hockey schedule. And I'm not sure because of this or that. Let me check.
Yeah.
And then it goes into a place and you're like, oh my gosh, that was Saturday. And it was like Sunday. And you're like, that was yesterday. And I feel like a jerk. And like, so you bring yourself into this place where like, why can't I get it together? There's too many moving parts. And so I think that if I build a process in where when those invitations come to the house, that I put them in a folder and I bring them to work and I say, okay, let's get these on the calendar. And then she's going to go, oh, well, does Johnny need a birthday present? I'm going to Walmart to pick up paper towels for the office anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. This is really good. I know we're supposed to be doing specifically actionables, but I did want to tie back to, you were saying buckets, and I had written down like social. So your social calendar, which would include birthday parties and hosting Thanksgiving and stuff like that. You said health. I think there's home. So I want you to give some more thought into these buckets. And these buckets are going to be the reoccurring questions that she asks you on. Because what we're doing is creating triggers for you to go, oh my gosh, yes, so actually there was something. Because that's how our brains work, is that she's going to ask you a question that's going to trigger something. So these need to be specific buckets that make sense to you in your life, that she just regularly kind of goes down as a checklist. And sometimes you're going to be like, nope, there's nothing. And sometimes you're going to be like, oh my gosh, that's so good. I would have totally forgot that. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that I want to make sure, in addition to these birthday invitations, is that you tell her to go in and anything that comes from the school. So like, oh my gosh, isn't there so many school events and things you need to be to? So when those things come home, or if there's an annual calendar, making sure you give it to her to get it on your work calendar, because it's seamless. You're a business owner and your personal life. So it all needs to be together. You don't need to be the one doing that.
Okay, I love that. I do have a question related to that, though.
Yeah.
I have all of my school-related emails and events go into my personal email address. So she doesn't manage that for me, nor would I want her to. Do you recommend that I just forward those to her?
Right.
Typically, I just put them on. I try my best. I'm actually pretty good at it. I'll immediately take it when I read it, and I'll just throw it on my calendar, whether I know if I'm going or not. So that's one of those things where I think if I forward it to her, it might prompt a question of, well, do you want to go? What's related to going? Right. Depending on what the event is. Like, is there some preparation that is needed? Whereas if I just put it on my calendar, she'll see that I have the, Stony Lane barbecue at 5:00 on Thursday or whatever it is.
Well, those questions that you said she would ask are actually the questions you need to answer. Are you really going? Right. Is there any preparation?
Right. Yeah.
Do you need to be anywhere else? Those are the exact questions that you're not asking. You're doing the right technical task of email in, get it on the calendar. But then now you're waiting till you see it on the calendar and you're rapidly asking yourself those questions. So am I actually going to go, and do I have to make something? And oh my gosh, that didn't get on the meal plan. And I didn't. Okay, so now I got to go by the store and pick something up. If you send it to her and this becomes a part of your weekly meeting, that's a trigger. She's going to say, do you want to go to the barbecue? What are the gives and takes? Can you take off work early? What can we make sure to prepare? So I say send it to her unless you know it's a hard no. And then you just delete the email.
Got it.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, cool. All right. So let's wrap up today. So is there anything else that you're going to take, that you're very clear that you're going to take an actionable on that will move you forward based on some ahas from today's session?
I think it's just one big one, honestly.
Yeah.
I think it's utilizing the people that I have in my life that I'm blessed to have help me in a way that's working with the way my brain works. I think for so long I've been trying to get myself to do things that I think I should be doing. And the reality is that that's not working. Yeah. So meeting with Judy and then also meeting with Jackie. And I think also another action item, kind of tying it back into your experience, is to sit down with my 3 children and my husband and say, what's important to you? Mm-hmm. Like, are you okay? Like, I've never had the conversation with my husband. Like, does it bother you that Jackie does the laundry? Like, does it make you think that I'm less of a housewife or mother or whatever? And I've never really thought about it, but again, just using that as an example, he might go, oh, I'm so glad it's finally done and folded. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. He might say, oh my gosh, she folds my shorts exactly like I want them. You don't know, right? So that's great. I know.
So I think a conversation with those 3 about the 3 children and my husband about what's important to you, and trying to, I actually have, I haven't read it yet, but I downloaded the Love Languages for Children. He actually writes a book specific for children. So I've read the adult version, but I want to read the children's version. I think I'm going to try to extract from that.
Yes.
Kind of to your point. Well, which one, if I have extra time, especially if I'm being saved some time and anxiety from what Judy's helping me with, how do I want to use that to honor my kids?
Love it. That's a great way to end. Thank you so much for being here and sharing this time and letting our listeners in and really take some ahas and learn from you and this coaching session. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to hear what the after is after you go take all these actions.
Thank you so much, Amber.
Are you ready to power up your productivity? Get clarity and insights to move your business forward? Of course you are. It's time to achieve success in a big way, and I've got good news for you. You're only one step away from your success breakthrough. Apply today for your free productivity power up at successbreakthroughsession.com. Head on over to successbreakthroughsession.com. So I know I told you were in for a treat, but wasn't Janelle just amazing? I really give it up to those who have agreed to be coached on air. Coaching can be a very personal, vulnerable experience, and it takes bravery and courage and the will to want to do better. So thank you so much, Janelle, for being my guest and really opening up so that so many others can learn from you. I truly believe that your topic and what we ended up exploring is going to resonate and hit home for so many. Now, I do want you to know that if you're listening to this, when I coach very customized to each of my clients, and I coach to what works best for them. And so if what I coached Janelle on and what she realized works for her, that's the trick, is it works for her. There was some key nuggets in there that I just want to make sure that you take away. And the one thing that's really coming to mind for me is you really need to find the things that work for you already and learn how to replicate those in other areas of your life and business. It is often that things are working. I remember having a client once that was extremely disorganized in multiple areas of her business and life. And when I asked her, what was the one thing that worked no matter what? And it was that she always gave out birthday cards, handwritten birthday cards and or gifts. And that was because it really meant something to her. And because it meant something to her, she had a process that was created that she followed and was really ultimately like foolproof for her. And so what we did was we pulled back the curtains on why does that process work? How does it work? And where can we replicate that in other areas of her business so that she's getting the same consistent results? And that's really what I want you to do here as well. Now, I'm sure you took away a lot of other tips and actionables and maybe some ahas, but what I really want you to do is determine what you're going to take action on. Because while I have loved having you listen to this episode of Productivity Straight Talk, I need to be straight with you. No change, no change. Without taking action, nothing will change for you or your business. So based on what you learned, based on your ahas, based on what Janelle was so open to sharing with us, what is it that you're going to take action on in your business or life? If you are interested in working with me, I have a couple ways that you can do that. For one, I am getting ready to open up my Stop the Entrepreneur Success Solution group coaching and training program again in January. So if you're interested, be sure to head on over to theproductivityspecialist.com/stop, S-T-O-P. Or if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, you can definitely head on over to my website and click on one-on-one peak performance coaching, or just shoot me an email at amber@theproductivityspecialist.com and let me know that you're interested in coaching, and I will get in touch with you to set up a discovery call. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for sharing Productivity Straight Talk with other entrepreneurs. I have really enjoyed the fact that I am seeing you out on social media, sharing your ahas and sharing the podcast with others. Please don't stop, continue it, and provide value for others that you know need this message. I have a special thank you going out to Jan O444, who recently said, Amber is passionate about and an expert on this topic. The podcast is on my regular listening schedule because it's packed with actionable tips and strategies to maximize productivity and your time. The episodes include her best coaching and consulting advice into interviews with other experts and thought leaders. Highly recommended. Thank you so much, Jano444. I really appreciate that review. So that's my straight talk for you today. And until next time, have a productive week.